Each simultaneous interpreting booth fits in these cases. They're in two halves. You can latch them together once they're put together. One thing to keep in mind is you can lock the wheels so that it doesn't roll down a hill. This says A2, the other one will say B2, so you want both letters with the same number for one booth. And you just undo the wing nuts, pull the latch down, and then take the lid off. And half the pieces will go in one case and half the pieces will go in the other case. On the roof, you have two of these lighting and ventilation units. They have these black cables that plug into the USB ports. The lighting is a white cable. It has a power adapter and it plugs into a normal socket on the power strip. We have a power strip, and coming off the back we have an extension cord. That's everything that goes on the roof. A lot of moving pieces for the electronics inside the booth. We have an extension cord wrapping around the back, coming in through this port in the bottom right side or left side. They both have ports. There's also an XLR cable for audio that's coming in. The XLR cable is plugging into the interpreter console where it says floor in. And we have an XLR cable coming out of the interpreter console from channel 1 out, and that is going into the FM transmitter. Now, the FM transmitter has an antenna that you have to collapse and unscrew, and you take it out of the transmitter. We have this little thing, which is a CO2 level measurer, and we have two headset microphone combos that go into the interpreter console, and both the FM transmitter and the interpreter console have power cords that go down to transformers that are labeled FM for the transmitter, IC2 for the interpreter console. You can't mix them up or else they will not work. Here's our extension cord coming from the back. It plugs into the power strip. Both of these power transformers are plugging into the power strip. This little white cord in the USB is for the CO2 measuring device. And the only other things that should be inside here, a laptop that you can connect an audio interface to for recording what the interpreters are saying and even what the speaker is saying. This is the case for the audio interface. It comes with two cables, one to connect to the power supply, one to connect to the laptop that you want the audio to go into. And there might be one or two XLR cables that will be going from the interpreter console into the audio interface. And there might be splitters and other things that go with that audio interface eventually. But that's everything. You've got transmitter, interpreter console. They both have their power supplies. There's two XLR cables. You have the antenna, both headset microphone combos. You have the CO2 measuring device. You have the power strip, and you have the extension cord. And that should be everything that goes inside the booth, except for also this remote that can be used to activate the lights on the lighting units that go on the roof. And so I think this sticks in with Velcro. I think that's all the electronics that go inside the booth. Here we have the extension cable that goes into the booth through the little port in the side. We also have the XLR cable that feeds the audio into the booth. These should go in the same spot that the electronics that are inside the booth go. And over here in the classroom, the XLR cable, where we're getting the audio from, is actually coming from this mixer. And this mixer, all it does is it amplifies the level of the audio. So this cable is coming from the port in the wall, and it goes into the mixer just so that we can boost the signal so that it's louder. Whenever you're using this mixer, it has a switch on the back to turn it on, but you have to make sure that when you turn it on, all of these level knobs are completely at 0. If they're not at 0, it won't work. So keep all those at 0 and then turn it on, and then you can move the levels up on the appropriate channels to get the audio where you want it for going into the booth. We'll make a separate video on this mixer though. The bottom line is the XLR cable that is going to go into the booth, it is coming from a splitter. That's this right here. And this splitter is connected to the output of the mixer. And so all we have to do is take the cable off of the splitter, and now we have our XLR cable, and then we'll unplug our extension cable. This will go in the same place that the interpreter console and the transmitter go. All right, we've got everything that goes inside the interpreting booth electronics wise right here, and we also have the extension cable that comes from the back of the booth and the XLR cable that comes from the back of the booth moving into the booth. We have our power strip here. This is the only thing, and I like to keep this USB cable plugged into it so that I know, oh, this is the power strip that goes on the inside of the booth, not the one for the roof. This is the only thing that we're gonna put in the big case over here. Separate video on that, but I'm just gonna move it over. The first thing that it's good to pack into this case is the interpreter console. It nestles into there, and it's got this little foam thing to go on top of it. The antenna, I usually put it in this space right here. It barely fits diagonally. And then I like to put the power adapters that I've called transformers, because I don't know, I'm into robots. These typically put in there as well. And then kind of after you've gotten all the cables to fit in there, that's when I'll put the FM transmitter on top of it. Now we've got a bunch of different cables, our power cords, shove those in there. Our extra XLR cable that connects the console to the transmitter, we'll put that in there. Our big XLR cord for getting our audio into the booth, we'll put that in. Then we'll put our extension cord in there, and then the headphones should hopefully, and microphone combos should hopefully fit in a way that makes sense. And you just sort of have to Velcro the orange stuff on top of it. It doesn't have to be too tight. This is actually one more thing that we're gonna keep over with the power strip. So we'll put that in the big case. And the audio interface, it has its own case, so we'll keep it separate. Usually this won't travel as much. If you want to record with it, you can travel with it, but just make sure that it's nestled in its case. And everything's packed nicely in our Pelican case. We've got both ventilation and lighting units packed into this case that has a little compartment for them. It's right on the very end. Get them side by side facing each other, and then the cables go on in. We'll try to nestle this in the bottom, and then we have our power strip that goes on the inside. We'll put that in, and we have our power strip for the roof, and everything fits pretty nicely in there. When you're in the classroom, before you take the booth down, make sure that you've marked the corners off with tape, all 4 corners, or else you'll be sad later. The table has a bar underneath it that has 4 screws that you can unscrew with your hand. It's easiest with 2 people, but essentially you have to hold the table up while you unscrew this bar. And then the most important thing after you've unscrewed the bar and you're ready to take these off is don't scratch the glass with these metal little corners. And so you kind of have to gingerly lift it very carefully to not scratch the glass. First thing you're going to want to put in the case is the bar that goes underneath the tabletops. Put it so that the knobs are facing this way and the ends of the screws are facing the felt. And then just slide it vertically down until it seats all the way in the bottom. When you put the tabletops in, it feels weird, but nubbies should be facing down. you should have the most space before the side nub on the down part of the table, and they slide into this slot right here. With the second one, same thing, nubby's down. The remote has Velcro, so it should stay in place. Don't worry about it, just leave it in the tabletop. You have to unlatch every single latch on the roof pieces and on the perimeter of the top side of the walls. You flick the blue thing, gray handle comes out. It's not unlatched though until you pull it to completely perpendicular. And so you have to do that with all these latches, but you also have to do it with all the latches around the perimeter, and then you can start taking the roof pieces off. Easiest pieces to remove first are the small corner pieces. It's kind of easy if you have someone on the outside to grab them as you remove them. Before you put the pieces in the case, latch. All the latches got to be latched. This one that doesn't have a triangle pointy outy thingy, it goes in first, and the top of it faces towards you. And the second one that, oh, I need to latch it. Always latch stuff. This has a triangle pointy thing, so it fits into the skinnier slot, and it faces the same way as the other one. Ouch. The remaining two pieces, you kind of just have to push them up high enough until they come undone, and then the person that's helping you on the outside can sort of grab one edge while you feed it to them, and then you've got to stay to hold this piece up and take it off and let someone else grab it, or you can kind of carefully move it down and move it out the door. Just remember to latch the stuff before you put it in the case. With these pieces, once again, you're starting with the piece that doesn't have a pointy outy triangle boy, but the inside, the bottom ceiling of the piece is facing towards you as you fit it into the slot and slide it down. And as we're doing this, we're of course making sure that all the latches are latched. This one has a pointy triangle boy which fits in that slot, and we can slide it into place. Now latch all of the perimeter pieces that were holding the ceiling pieces, the roof pieces in place. And the first piece that we're going to take off is the door. And you have to be careful with the door because it can hinge. So close it nicely. The door piece has more latches than other pieces. So it has 3 on each side that we have to undo. And then you have to undo the latch that is in the middle. And it's a bit of a challenge to get it out because you have to lift up. And it's easier with 2 people.
Maybe should have been on the outside.
Yeah, maybe it would have been easier. And then you can kind of pull it out of place, but we can already see the hinging weird, which is very fun. Yeah, you should, sorry.
Fine.
We missed our order of operations.
Good. Thank you.
So if we're starting with the door piece, it's piece number 1. And then if you go to the back wall, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's easiest just to start with piece number 1, putting them into the case in order, because then when you pull it out to put it together, it's already in order. This is just tricky because it can come undone from the hinges, and that's why we have this strap. And so we have to strap around the side of it to make sure that it cannot open so that the hinge is shut. And you want this, snug, not too tight. And then it should fit into the first slot that we have here. It's got the biggest slot because this has a hinge piece on it. And so we have to fit it into the very first slot. It's kind of bending. It's hard to keep it from bending. And this is definitely easier as a 2-person job. He fits it into his side. My side has a triangle boy that goes in. And then each successive piece will just go in order. And hey, maybe it was easier to start with piece number 8, but here we are. These corner pieces are held on by the latches, so as soon as you unlatch them, they're loose and can fall out, and so just pull it off. And we're gonna show how those go into the case because it's kind of particular. Then we latch the latches back shut. We have to undo the bottom one. We have to undo the two side ones. And now we only have to lift it high enough to clear this bar right here. And it's easy to have one person on the inside, one person on the outside so you can help each other. So now we're putting piece number 2 in. And to keep things in order, it's definitely easiest to just put it in right behind piece number 1. This is now piece number 2. Latches were latched. And we're going to keep going with piece 3, piece 4. And once we have 2 of these corner pieces out, we'll show how those pieces go into the case because that's kind of special. These corner pieces, they fit into the same case that has the tabletops, and they fit just behind the tabletops. But you cannot stack them like this because they won't fit. You have to alternate the direction that they're facing so that they fit into each other. And you can't generally drop them at an angle because they barely fit in here. And so I find it easiest just to hang my fingers in there and slowly lower it down evenly. And then the next one, I just have to make sure that it's facing the opposite way. I'll slowly lower it down, and as long as I'm alternating the direction they face, they'll snuggle into each other nice and tight. I've got piece number 8 in my hands right now. One thing that we maybe didn't mention as we were putting these in, you have to orient them so that the, I believe, top is on all the same side because it has a triangle buoy, and they only fit in the slot with triangle buoys to one side, non-triangle buoys to the other side. Bottom half is really easy. There's less latches. There's just one on each side generally. And I'm gonna start with the door piece once again. And I'll just gingerly lift this out. I disturbed my tape corner here, which is gonna make me sad in like a week. And so I'm gonna make sure the tape is down. Oh no. I'm gonna make sure the tape is actually staying where it's supposed to be to mark my corner, because once I put it back together in the classroom, it'll make me sad. I relatch that. The door piece has to have a strap around it. Sometimes you have to loosen the strap to get it on, and then you just tighten it back up once it's on. But once again, this door piece has a wider slot than the rest of them, and so it actually has the first slot. But check it out, it doesn't fit. What the heck? These pieces you actually have to put the other direction. And the base has to go this way with pointy triangle buoy to the left. And now we can gently slide it into place. And we're gonna do the exact same thing. This is piece number 1. We'll go 2 through 8 for the rest of them. Triangle pointy guys to the left. And we start with the door. You put the lids on, put the latches back, fasten them tight, and you have to put the lids on in such a way that the corner here that is a ball matches up with a corner that is flat, because they're gonna suck into each other, and then you can use this latch to put them together. And you essentially just tighten that wing nut, and it gets pretty tight. And once it's tightened all the way, you can push the wing nut back down, and you do the same thing on the other side, and that just makes it so. Oh, that's hard. Better for Carson to do this, he's stronger.
I think you might have them.
Okay, so
Okay.
once they're together, you can now move them as one giant thing. Because of the smart way that we've packed everything up, all of the cables and electronics fit in the Pelican case and the 2 big road cases.